You're locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogdon.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Business Innovators Radio. I am your host, Ralph Brogdon, and joining me today is Doneane Beckcom. She is a best-selling author, a nutritionist, a speaker, radio and TV host. She's a Hatha Yoga instructor, a professional musician, and she has spent over 20 years in the health and fitness industry. Her passion for helping others become healthier stems from her own journey through health issues and hormone changes. She brings her personal story and triumphs into her work with individuals, and she enables them to make better choices and become healthier as a result. Her best-selling book, radio, and TV show content embody her spirit and energy behind the many hats that she wears. Well, let's talk about some of those hats. Doneane Beckcom, welcome to Business Innovators Radio.
Well, thank you so much, Ralph, for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Well, this is really neat that you've got so much experience in the area of nutrition and health, and it's such an important part of every business owner, because if the business owner is not healthy, then probably the business will not be healthy. But tell us a little bit more about what you do and who you help. Who are your ideal prospects and clients that you like to work with?
Well, it's interesting that I've been in the industry for so long that my clientele has actually aged with me. When I first got into the fitness industry, I was in my early 20s, and now I'm in my early 50s, and my clientele has changed through those years. You know, a 50-year-old doesn't want to be trained necessarily by a 20-year-old, and a 20-year-old doesn't necessarily want to be trained by a 50-year-old.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I find myself, in that age group of being in I guess, the middle age group. And a lot of the training for younger people just doesn't fit my needs anymore. And I'm not sure that it really does me much good anyway.
That's right. And so primarily now I work with women who are about my age. And I tell people when they ask me, who's your ideal client? I say, well, my ideal client is me. It's a woman who is, in her 40s or 50s, maybe has kind of fallen off the health wagon and maybe gotten sedentary or just not eating right, maybe starting to have some of those hormonal symptoms that come on as we age. And so I help them to learn how to deal with their symptoms and maybe some other chronic conditions they may be having that can be controlled with proper nutrition and getting up off the couch and not being sedentary.
I really like that. And that is so needed and so important, especially when you get to that time of life when things begin to change, not only for women, but for men as well. Now, in your bio, it says that that your passion for doing this has really come about as a result of your own journey through some health issues and things. Tell us a little bit more about that and how you got started in this direction.
Yes, it really is. When I was in my early 20s, I started having some health issues that were unusual for a woman of that age. I had arthritis, I had asthma, I had ulcers in my esophagus and in my stomach. And I would wake up in the mornings and feel like I was in my 80s and not in my 20s. And of course, doctors were giving me medicines and potions and all kinds of stuff. And they worked for a time. But as my body built up tolerances to those medications, they stopped being effective. And I was just tired of having to get prescriptions refilled and go for doctor's visits. And I thought, I'm taking really good care of the outside of my body. I think I'm not taking care of my insides like I should be. So I kind of became my own lab rat, my own guinea pig, and I started doing the research to figure out, okay, what foods am I eating or not eating, and what things am I drinking or not drinking that are making these things happen in my body? And it turns out everything had to do with the inflammatory process. And I was eating a lot of foods that caused inflammation. Inflammation causes arthritis. Inflammation causes asthma. Inflammation plays a part in digestive disorders. So when I started getting rid of all of that stuff and replacing it with healthier choices, my health got better. I got off of the medications. My symptoms went away. And so as I got older and got more healthy and continued to work with clients, when my menopausal symptoms started coming on, I had the same thought process. Okay, there's got to be something that I'm either not eating or I am eating that is exacerbating these symptoms, because I know from my experience that I can control those things with the right kind of nutrition. And so again, I did my own research, became the lab rat again, and I figured out what worked for me. And that's what really led me into wanting to become certified as a nutritionist so that I could pass that information on to my clients.
Now, do all of the rules apply equally to everyone, or is it necessary that every single person have their own custom nutrition? Every food is different, or I don't know, it just sounds kind of overwhelming. Is that something that you work with people on, or how do you get started with them eating the right things?
Well, the first thing that I do with a new client is I have them go to their primary care physician and get a complete physical and have a complete metabolic profile, because everyone's body is going to react differently to whatever they put in, whether it's something that they eat, something that they drink, or something topical that they're putting on their skin and then getting into their system. So we want to see where they are nutritionally. Do they have some vitamin deficiencies? Do they have some, hormones that are doing some crazy things as they age? So that's where we start. And I always work in conjunction with their primary care physician, particularly if they have some type of chronic condition or they're taking medications for something. And really, the big difference that I see as far as, across the board, you were asking, is everything the same? By and large, we are eating way too many processed foods. And when I tell my clients to take away the processed foods, that's when they start seeing a lot of changes happening. So that's one of the big things right there across the board, is getting away from processed foods. But then, if there's some certain hormone things that are going on, whether it's a man or a woman, there's certain foods that you need to stay away from that can trigger hormone reactions in the body. And then there's others that you should eat that kind of work along with your body's natural hormonal process.
So it really comes down to each individual person is unique, although we share many similarities. The food that you eat, or the foods that you don't eat, or the things you drink or things you don't drink, they all affect us individually and differently. And so in conjunction with the doctor who's going to give them a full workup, you actually help them figure out what is the trigger foods that are going to help them or harm them.
Absolutely. Yes. And we'll develop a customized plan depending upon, what their needs are, if they have any food allergies or sensitivities, if they're taking any medications that may have a reaction to foods. I mean, the statin drugs are one of the big things that I see people on. And with a statin drug, you can't have grapefruit or grapefruit juice. So it's just really important to dig down and just make sure that we're doing the right thing for each individual based on their body chemistry and what their goals are. Some people, they come to me and they want to lose weight. Some people want to learn how to cook and eat healthier, not necessarily to lose weight, but just because they want to have a better overall health. And some people say, hey, I'm borderline type 2. I want to do whatever I need to do to not have to take medication and try to reverse that process. Or they may have a family history of heart disease and they want to make sure that they're eating healthy to try to avoid, those triggers that might cause that condition to come on in their own body.
Yeah, now you've worked with a lot of clients, and I'm just curious, what is the biggest problem that you see when you're trying to help people change their habits and eat differently? That's got to be really tough, but I wonder if there's a really kind of a common thread here with the people that you're trying to help. What's the biggest obstacle that you have to help them overcome?
There's actually two. The first one is being sedentary, and the second one is the convenience and the ease of processed foods. It's just so easy to, pick up something from the fast food place or to, get things that are already, pre-cooked, pre-packaged in a bag, a box, or a can, and it's ready. And you don't have to really do anything to prepare it other than maybe pop it in the oven or heat it up or whatever. So those are the two most common problems that I see with people. Being sedentary can cause a whole lot of other health issues besides just weight gain. And eating processed foods contributes to so many different unhealthy processes that happen in our bodies. And just removing those processed foods from our daily intake can just make huge differences in how people feel and conditions they may be suffering, symptoms that they have, medications that they take. So those are the two biggies.
Now, part of your expertise is you are a yoga instructor. How does that work into the issue of being sedentary and trying to help people overcome their nutritional issues?
That's a great question. So many people that have become sedentary are they're afraid of doing any kind of weight-bearing exercise. They're afraid of going back to the gym. They don't really know where to get started. They've become stiff and they've lost muscle tone. They maybe even have lost some of their bone density from being sedentary. And yoga is such a gentle and easy way to get yourself back into moving. And people who are not familiar with yoga, they don't realize that it really is a good workout. You actually get cardio, you sweat, you get muscle fatigue. By the end of the workout, you're getting the shakes in your arms and your legs. and it really is a good workout, but it's not hard on your body at all. It's easy on your joints, it's easy on your muscles and your ligaments and connective tissue. So it's a really good way to get people back into just moving and not necessarily doing something that, requires a membership at a gym or requires that you purchase a bunch of equipment or anything like that. And it's really not, it's not intimidating.
So really it comes down to beginning to move around and not trying to work out like some kind of a maniac, but at least
right.
at least being able to say, okay, I'm going to get up and do some stretching, I'm going to do a little yoga, and learning how to just not be still all the time, but to introduce some low impact movement. Because I got to tell you, at my age, I'm just not up for all of the high impact running and jumping and everything. My knees hurt and so forth.
Our bodies just can't handle that as we get older. And it's for men and women as we age and our bodies change. There's not a lot that you can do about some of the changes that happen internally, but there's a lot that you can do to make yourself feel better and more confident in the way that you are feeling as you age. And yoga is a great way to do it. And I also tell people, if you don't want to do yoga, just take the stairs when you go someplace instead of the elevator. When you go to a restaurant or to the grocery store, wherever, don't park in the closest parking spot. Park further out so that you have to walk further. Walk around your neighborhood. There's so many things that you can do just to get up off of your duff and get moving.
Yeah, that sounds really appealing as opposed to the typical New Year's resolution. I'm going to join a gym and lose 50 pounds, and nothing ever happens because we're going for so much so soon. But that actually leads me to the next question, Doneane, as I'm curious. Someone listening right now, they say, yeah, I know I need to move around more and I know I need to make some changes, but what can they do right now or beginning today to begin to see some immediate improvement in their physiology and in their health?
The main thing that I see in 99% of the people that I work with is lack of water intake. Most people, they don't know this, but they walk around basically in a state of dehydration all the time. And our bodies are made up of about 85% water. Our brains have water in them. Our bones have water in them. And when you don't get enough water, or you think you're getting water from drinking tea and Cokes and other sodas and coffee and things like that, you're actually doing more harm than good. So the first thing that I always tell people is you've got to drink more water.
And more water would be, what's the recommendation? Depending on the climate, I guess. If it's really hot and dry, you would need more. But is it about 64 ounces a day? Is that rule of thumb?
Well, what I tell people is they want to shoot for half of their body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 140 pounds, that's 70 ounces of water per day. And the easiest way to do it is to get you a reusable water bottle, like a stainless steel, non-BPA water bottle that you know how many ounces it is, and figure out how many of those you need to drink throughout the day. And it really, people say, half my body weight, I'm going to drown. And it's really not that much. I mean, for me, I weigh 140 pounds, 70 ounces of water per day. I have a stainless steel water bottle that is about 30 ounces. So if I drink 3 of those, I'm over my suggested water intake for the day. But like you said, there's other factors involved. If you're working outside, of course, you need to drink more because your body's going to deplete through the process of sweating. If you are an athlete in training, you would want to drink more. And then what you mentioned about being in a different climate, if you're in a very dry climate, your body's going to use up a lot more water. If you're in a very humid environment, not necessarily so. So the rule of thumb is half your body weight in ounces, and then think about the other things that you might be experiencing during the day that might call for more water.
Now, I have heard other people mention this before, and I'm a real believer in the water thing. I've as you're saying, the suggestion here, I'm looking at my stainless steel water bottle on my desk, and I'm like, yeah, I'm finally doing something right. So I got that much handled.
All right.
It sounds like it's so easy, and yet for many people, it never rises above the level of good intentions. They know they need to move around. They know that they need to stop eating out and get more exercise and drink more water. How would working with someone like you really help them to get where they want to be a lot faster and improve their chances for success?
Well, I think the fact that I walk my talk and I live the story of what it's like to not be healthy and to work yourself back to good health and to stay there. So having lived that myself, I can relate to where they are. If they're having health issues and it's hard for me to drink water because I'm addicted to sodas. Okay, I've been there. 15 years ago, that's all I drank. I drank Sprites and Pepsis and all that. So I can relate to that. And I work with people one-on-one. Even though my business now is no longer brick and mortar and it's an online platform, I still work with people one-on-one. I've got clients all over the world. We talk by Zoom meeting. We talk by Skype. We talk on the phone. We stay in touch, through email and on Facebook and things like that. So they get a lot of one-on-one with me to continue to motivate and encourage them and just be a sounding board for them. A lot of people, when they get started on a journey back to good health, their family is not supporting them. They may have young children at home that are not going to go for the kind of food that mom's now cooking, or they have a partner or a spouse who's not really ready to make that change. So I'm the one who kind of undergirds them and helps them and cheers them on and gives them motivation when maybe other people in their lives might not be doing that for them.
That's really important is the support system, because I can imagine those situations where one partner says, you know what, I'm not going to go there. I can't go there, or I don't have time to do that. And so it can really be kind of a disruptive thing to really change the habits that you've based your whole life on and try to go in a different direction.
Right. And again, that's something I've lived through in my own household. I had a young daughter that she didn't want to eat the things that I was eating. So I would cook a meal for me and I would cook something different for her. And then my husband was kind of the same way. No, I'm not going to eat that kind of stuff. And it tastes like grass and it looks like dirt and I'm not going to eat it. So, I've been where my clients are, so I can kind of commiserate with them and, give them some ideas for how they can still continue to move forward in their own health when others may not be wanting to join them on the journey just yet.
I'm speaking with Doneane Beckcom. She's a best-selling author, nutritionist, speaker, radio and TV host. Her website is fitnessnutritionconsulting.com. Doneane, it also says that you have a background in the legal profession. Tell me what got you out of that and got you into this.
Well, I became a personal trainer when I was in my early 20s, and so that has always been a big part of my life. And I decided that I wanted to go to law school. My passion is, of course, for helping people, and as a lawyer, I've helped thousands of people through the years with different problems. And for me, that was the 9 to 5 job that kind of paid the bills, while my personal training and my nutrition business was just kind of fledgling and, kind of a part-time thing. But then once my nutrition business really took off, just in the last 6 or 7 years, my law practice has we flip-flopped. Now my law practice is part-time and my nutrition business is full-time. So it's been an interesting journey.
Yeah, that's really cool because in that we see the desire to help. It's the helping profession that you're pursuing. You're just, in some situations, you're helping people with their legal problems, and in other situations, as a nutritionist, you're helping people with their physical problems.
That's right.
And also quality of life, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Now, when you need some extra motivation yourself, I'd like to ask this of the coaches and consultants that I talk to, because none of us are on cloud nine all the time, and I think it helps to connect with the ordinary person out there who is thinking, maybe they are somehow unique and that they experience lack of motivation. But people who are experts like you never do. I know that's not the case, but I'm just curious, when you need some extra motivation, what gets it going for you? What gets you moving?
Well, I keep a list of client testimonials. Anytime I get an email or an instant message or, a comment to a blog post or anything that uplifts me and tells me that I have done something that has made life better for this person, that's what I go back to. I go back and look at them and remember, oh, yeah, I remember that client. I remember where they started and what we had to do and the struggle and what their good outcome was. So it helps me and motivates me to go back and look at past successes because I know that they have happened. And if they've happened in the past, I can make them happen again in the future for other clients and then again for myself as a coach.
Really good. Just to go back and reconnect with those past successes. And
Yes.
As a business, I think as business owners, we don't do that enough. We don't go back and really savor those past successes because society has kind of trained us to always be forward thinking and always got to be moving on to the next thing, always looking for the next client or the next prospect or the next deal.
Right.
And especially, I think, in your business where you are helping people on a daily basis, that's got to be really inspiring and motivating to go back and look at the lives that you have changed and how you have affected people in a positive way. And that really, I think, kind of would light the fire when you do need that extra motivation to go out and just make that happen again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's even better when I run into one of them in person, like I did at the gym the other day. I ran into one of my big success stories, a male client with lots of health issues. I helped him lose about 65 pounds. It was about 8 years ago. And he had on a back brace. And so I asked him, what happened? Well, he had just recently had surgery, and he said that his doctor told him that because he had lost all of that weight and was working out and was in good shape, that he was healing better than a client that was 20, 30 years younger than him, just because he had gotten his health under control. So that was one of those great success stories that just, really inspires and motivates me to keep doing what I do for more people.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually, it's not only quality of life, but longevity as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You never know as you get older what procedures you might need or, God forbid, what things might happen. So being in shape and having that lifestyle in place before you go through those health challenges really can make a difference.
Absolutely.
As opposed to someone who say they have a heart attack and then now now they are forced to become more active and change everything about their life. And it's really more difficult, I would think, under that kind of stress.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So tell me, Doneane, what are you working on right now that's got you really excited?
Well, as a matter of fact, a new book. It's a bestseller that has just come out. It's called The Journey to Never Giving Up. It's a collaboration with my wonderful publisher, Jody Harris, and two other authors, Kelly Cox and Judith Inglesby. And it is a wonderful compilation of the three best-selling books that we have written, along with a wonderful introduction that Jody Harris has written for us. And we're doing a book signing June the 21st and 22nd in Oklahoma City. And what's interesting about this book is it's like none other that's out there on the market right now. It has riddles buried in the pages of the book. And when you find the riddle and you think you've solved it, you go onto our website, and if you solve it correctly, you are in a contest to win one of up to 40 prizes, and the prizes total over $20,000 in value.
That is really cool. Now, as a marketing strategist, I got to say, that sounds very inspired.
Yes, it's amazing. It's really neat. And the riddles don't just jump out at you. You'll be reading a paragraph and all of a sudden there's a sentence that's, what did I just read? Wait a minute. It's a very interesting concept. We're really excited about it.
That's really cool. Now, what is the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you and to find out more about your book and the different things, products and services that you offer?
My website that you mentioned earlier, fitnessnutritionconsulting.com. There's any number of ways that they can contact me through the website. They'll have access to all of my social media platforms. Lots of information about my backstory and why I do what I do. Information about some free products that I have, as well as some paid programs and my coaching services, as well as links to purchase my best-selling book and the book that I just mentioned, The Journey to Never Giving Up.
Excellent. So this has been a really educational and I think inspiring. It's been very confirming our conversation, at least in the area of water, and also confirms that I think intuitively we know what we need to do. We know we need to move more. Yes. We know we need to eat better. But where you really come in and assist people, I think, is giving them that customized plan that they need and also the support structure that they probably aren't going to get from anyplace else.
That's right.
So this has been really good, and I appreciate your time. And any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our listeners as we close?
Well, I would like to mention one of the favorite quotes that I came across when I was studying to become a nutritionist, and it's from Hippocrates, who's the father of modern medicine, and he actually said this in 400 BC. He said, "Let thy food be thy medicine, and let thy medicine be thy food."
Very good. Now, how do you interpret that? I take that as how do I word it? We want to not rely upon medicine and pills to prop us up. Absolutely.
Because when you think about his time frame, they didn't have medicine. They used plants, roots, foods. That's what they used to combat whatever disorders and diseases that they had then. And we need to return to that. We need to return to using foods as our first choice before we go pop a pill, and making sure that our nutrition, what we're putting in our body, is the best thing that we can put in our body so that we don't have to go seek medical attention.
Very good. Excellent. Doneane Beckcom. She is a best-selling author, nutritionist, speaker, radio and TV host. And you can find out more about her and her products and services and her best-selling book on her website, fitnessnutritionconsulting.com. Thank you, Doneane, so much for being a part of the program today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ralph. I appreciate the time as well.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogdon. Download the show notes and much more at ralphbrogdon.com.